things are easy for us. We have benefit grids that are easy to say, yes, we can provide that. Some things fall outside of the normal scope. Currently, those decisions must come to head office to be adjudicated. And I hate to say something about the headquarters element because you probably all work there, but the headquarters element of Veterans Affairs can somewhat slow down the process. So what we are doing in response, not to say that we're slow at head office, but in response to the potential slowing down with lots of people touching a particular request, we are going to change who can make the decision, and effective April 1st, those off-the-grid decisions for some treatment benefits can be made right at the district office. That'll make a big difference. On the disability side, those of you that have been through the process, the medical questionnaires that you receive or for your doctor to fill out can be hatefully long and complicated. Mine was about 12 pages long and it took about an hour and a half for the doctor to fill out. So what happens sometimes is that they get shuffled to the side at the doctor's office because they don't want to take the time to fill them out. So the department is working to streamline those medical questionnaires so that only the questions that are absolutely required in order to adjudicate a decision are rendered and asked. And so we've completed, there's a whole bunch of different questionnaires depending on what's wrong with you. So we finished with 17 questionnaires, streamlined them, and they're getting ready to be able to be sent out electronically and received electronically, which will also help save time. As well, we just come forward with a new policy on ALS. You may have read about that in the news. The new policy is in place and working, and geez, it hasn't been very long, probably a couple of months it's been in, and that's resulted in 48 favorable rulings as of December 31st, 2010. So that's pretty good. And as Mr. Hillier said, we are working towards a 16-week turnaround time standard for disability benefits. And there's a project underway that I believe my colleague Sue Bagwell is probably involved in to reach out to reservists with information on the career transition services. So, maybe what I'll do now to wake everybody up a little bit is let's talk a little bit about a scenario. It'll illustrate what I'm talking about from a scenario. Grab the mic. And I'll move so that you're not completely asleep. So let's talk about case situation number 1 is a corporal who is married, no children, who incurs a career-ending injury, and he has to medically release after 4 years of service. And most of you would know that if you have to leave after 4 years of service, there's no retirement pension waiting for you. So that's what no annuity means. He's been determined through our system to be 80% disabled, which means on that scale from 0 to 100%, he's determined to be 80. And his salary at release is $4,410. Now, in the old world, prior to April 1st, 2006, he would have received a monthly disability pension in the amount of $2,397 per month, tax-free for life. His SISIP, long-term disability benefits, most of you put your hands up, you knew what SISIP was, would top that up to equal 75% of his at-release salary. So 75% of his at-release salary is $3,300 a month. He gets $910 a month to bring him up to that. You okay? All right, so let's flip to the next slide. Same gentleman, same situation, but now in today's world. In today's world, in lieu of a monthly disability pension, he would get a lump sum award in the amount of $220,863. Just like the disability pension, it's tax-free. In addition, on a monthly basis now, he would get permanent impairment allowance in the amount of $1,070 pre-tax. And he would get 75% of his at-release salary from SISIP, which is $3,300 a month. SISIP does not consider permanent impairment allowance to be an offset. That's why he gets the full 75% in this case from SISIP. And so his total monthly amount is $3,600 a month. So in this particular situation, this gentleman would actually get more in the new world than he did in the old world. They're not all like that. And we're going to go through another one, and then we're going to talk about that. But in this case, it is. So let's look at this one. This is a little different now. This is a gentleman who is married with 2 children, who during the course of his 8-year tenure has a motor vehicle accident, service-related, injures his back. He gets a 20% disability pension from VAC, which is $688 a month. Okay. He continues on with his service, his back stabilizes, and he releases after 8 years. He decides he wants to be an electrician, he goes out, does what's necessary, and works. Okay? Then, a few years down the road, that back injury starts to become more and more of a problem, and he has to stop working as an electrician. So what he has coming in, he gets his monthly disability pension at $688 a month for life, and nothing else. He's not eligible, in this case, for unemployment insurance benefits because he was self-employed. And prior to April 1st, 2006, we had no rehabilitation program, we had no earnings loss benefit, so that's what he got. This gentleman did not go through the SISIP program, he voluntarily released because his back was stable and he had a job to do. Okay, post New Veterans Charter, same gentleman, in lieu of that $688 a month, he would have gotten a $52,168 lump sum award, which over the course of his lifetime, right up front, is much less than the monthly amount, 688 times the number of months times the number of years. No question, fully acknowledge that. But what we can do for this gentleman that we couldn't do before is that we can, once he can't work anymore, start paying him 75% of his at-release salary while we retrain him. And if for whatever reason he can never return to work, we will continue that support until he turns 65. That's the big difference with the new Veterans Charter. That's what we couldn't do before. What you have to consider is that the average disability pension amount that we gave out is about $800 a month. And I dare any of us to live on $800 a month. But what we were finding at the district offices across the country was people coming back several years after they released with issues that had literally come back to haunt them, and they needed support in order to move on with their life, and we couldn't provide it. Okay, let's talk a little bit about how representative this is of the kinds of people we see. So, broadly speaking, there are really 3 different categories of people that come through the doors at Veterans Affairs. The first are the seriously injured, medically releasing people. And as you can see, there's a fairly robust combination of services and benefits that are available when you combine the SISIP benefits and the Veterans Affairs benefits. This is the area where there has been some criticism that it's not robust enough. It's not as fulsome now as it was pre-New Veterans Charter, and so that's why you see the changes that are currently going through the House of Commons with the expansion of the permanent impairment allowance, with the addition of the extra $1,000 a month for those that are unable to return to work. Once we add those pieces in, there's a very robust package for this group. The next group is like the second slide, where the gentleman, in that case, did all right, voluntarily released, and then started to have injuries that prevented him from continuing on in the career that he had chosen once he left the military. And this is our biggest gain post-New Veterans Charter. It's the rehabilitation program, it's the financial support, it's the long-term assistance where we couldn't help before. And what's important to know is that 70% of people currently on this rehabilitation program do not come to our program through the medical release route. They come afterwards once they've been out and started to have issues. 70% of them. And those are the people we couldn't be of assistance to before. There's a large study going on at the University of Western Ontario right now where the early findings are showing that most of us, I'll use us, will actually voluntarily release, do well for a while, and then start to have effects of our military service, sadly. The third group are people more like myself, people who had an injury, who that injury became a permanent disability, but it really in no way affected my ability to go out, find a job, and sustain a career. And so for people like me, there are less benefits available, no doubt about it. Less benefits than the other group. The New Veterans Charter is a conscious, oh boy, a conscious shift, oh boy, that could have been bad, a conscious shift to move services and benefits to where they're needed most. To people who are most seriously injured and to people who have no safety net anywhere else and whose injuries come back to haunt them later in life. Okay, so here's the second part of what's important. How do you find us? Well, in Ottawa here, we have an integrated personnel support center, NDMC, and that's, someone told me that today. It's fairly new, isn't it? How new is it?
April.
April. Last April?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Last April came on. And there is a district office at Riverside Drive, which is the, what's the name of that mall? Billings Bridge, thank you. So you can hunt us down there, or you can always call our 1-800 number in English and French, where we strive to answer your phone call within the first 90 seconds or something. It's pretty good, actually. And our friends, the CMP's friends, the Bureau of Pensions Advocates, have their own phone number. And as well, you can hunt us down on our website. We have a newspaper that's published quarterly. I get mine, comes to my home. They are also available online. They give you updated information about what we're doing. We have a card probably somewhere at the back that you can, we have a card somewhere at the back that you can pick up. I caution you on the second number, VAC assistance line. That's not where you call to find out about VAC. That's the same as SIFMAP. That's where you call if you want some short-term emergency counseling. So beware of the difference there. Get lined up with a counselor right off the bat. So remember, we're here to help you. We have the ability to tailor what we offer to meet your needs, and feel free to contact us anytime you need us. So what we're going to do now is we're going to open up the floor to questions.